Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some big news from across the globe and inside the U.S. First up, Mississippi has decided to ditch the mandatory U.S. history test for high schoolers starting this fall. While students still need to learn U.S. history in their courses, the state hopes this move will cut costs and reduce test anxiety. Many parents support it, but some officials worry about losing accountability and historical knowledge. Next, President Trump is hinting at deploying more military forces across U.S. cities amid ongoing protests and legal battles over troop control. He's also considering involving U.S. troops in the Middle East over rising Iran tensions. Meanwhile, he's calling for a special prosecutor to investigate the 2020 election, claiming widespread voter fraud despite multiple court rulings and security assessments. The political drama continues to unfold. Finally, tensions in the Middle East have escalated with Iran reportedly launching a missile attack on Haifa, Israel. Israel responded with strikes on Iranian military sites, leading to casualties on both sides. The international community is urging restraint, but the conflict remains highly volatile. Stay tuned as we watch how these geopolitical tensions develop. Please continue to watch for more detailed updates. The Associated Press reports that Mississippi's education authorities have decided to eliminate the U.S. history test as a graduation requirement, sparking mixed reactions. While some parents expressed relief over reducing test anxiety, critics like board member Mary Werner lamented the loss of a vital accountability measure for teachers. Despite the removal of the test, students will still be required to complete U.S. history courses, emphasizing that the decision aims to lessen the testing burden on students, educators, and families, even as debate continues over the importance of historical literacy in shaping future leaders. The Toronto Star highlights President Donald Trump's provocative stance on deploying military forces within U.S. cities amid ongoing protests and legal battles. Following a court ruling that upheld his authority to control National Guard troops in California, Trump hinted at broader military interventions across the nation, asserting that federal forces could be dispatched wherever local police are unable to maintain order. Meanwhile, tensions escalate as Trump considers whether to involve U.S. military action against Iran, with defense officials providing options and the president setting a 2-week deadline for a decision, all amid a backdrop of international concern and domestic political maneuvering. In a separate development, the same publication details Trump's renewed call for a special prosecutor to investigate the 2020 election, which he falsely claims was stolen through widespread voter fraud. His social media post underscores his ongoing efforts to undermine President Biden's legitimacy, despite repeated court rulings and official assessments affirming the election's security. The move revives long-standing grievances, with legal experts noting that such investigations are politically charged and often hindered by legal and procedural obstacles. As the Biden administration faces mounting pressure over Iran and other foreign policy issues, Trump's focus on election claims underscores his persistent efforts to challenge the current political landscape and influence upcoming electoral dynamics. According to AfricaLink News, the political landscape in Iran is teetering on the brink of upheaval amid escalating tensions with Israel and the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Iranian authorities, led by Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, are rallying national support by invoking patriotic sentiments, yet cracks are appearing in the regime's facade of strength. Exiled Iranian sociologist Majid Galper criticizes the regime's inefficiency and questions its ability to safeguard its leadership, especially with rumors of targeted strikes against high-ranking officials like Khamenei himself. Inside Iran, opposition groups remain fractured and suppressed, but some analysts, such as Shakriya Bradost, believe that a weakening regime could create a political vacuum, enabling protests and potential change. The Iranian people's sense of national identity is being manipulated through nationalist rhetoric, yet widespread fear and anger dominate the populace as they navigate a conflict they largely feel powerless to influence, with the international community debating whether external intervention could catalyze regime change. Deutsche Welle paints a complex picture of Iran's internal struggles amid the chaos of war and the threat of regime collapse. The regime's leadership is using the conflict with Israel to unify the nation temporarily, but their grip on power is increasingly fragile. The potential assassination of Khamenei or a significant military failure could accelerate the regime's downfall, yet opposition forces inside and outside Iran are divided and disorganized, lacking a unified front. Meanwhile, the Iranian diaspora remains hopeful that political change might emerge if the regime weakens further, but the regime's suppression of dissent, arresting and discrediting opponents, continues unabated. Throughout this turmoil, patriotic rallies are being invoked to bolster support, but many Iranians remain consumed by fear and frustration as the conflict's escalation leaves their future uncertain. The international community, including the US, is watching closely, with some calling for military intervention, while others, like President Trump, remain hesitant, awaiting further developments before taking action. In the United States, The Independent reports on Vice President J.D. Vance's recent visit to Los Angeles amid a tense political climate marked by immigration enforcement and protests. Vance's tour of federal facilities and military deployments highlights the ongoing efforts of the Trump administration to bolster deportation initiatives and suppress protests against immigration policies. The visit follows a legal victory for the administration, which maintained control over thousands of National Guard troops deployed in response to demonstrations, despite California Governor Gavin Newsom's legal challenge arguing that the federal government exceeded its authority. Trump's aggressive stance on immigration continues to be a rallying point for his supporters, with the president publicly ordering ICE to intensify efforts in major cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, accusing these urban centers of harboring illegal aliens and using them to sway elections and expand welfare. This politically charged atmosphere underscores the deep divisions within the U.S., as debates over immigration, law enforcement, and federal authority remain at the forefront of national discourse. The Independent vividly reports a dramatic escalation in the Israel-Iran conflict, with a massive explosion rocking Haifa after warnings of a daytime Iranian missile attack. The city was visibly scarred, with footage showing a partially destroyed building and a towering plume of smoke. Israeli medical services confirmed at least 2 casualties, including a teenager in serious condition and a man wounded by shrapnel. The Israeli military activated alerts across multiple regions following missile launches from Iran, which coincided with Iran's religious leader Ali Khamenei claiming that Israel was about to face its comeuppance. This week marks a fierce escalation, with both nations exchanging hundreds of missile strikes, resulting in numerous civilian casualties, at least 24 Israelis and hundreds of Iranians, highlighting the intense and deadly nature of this ongoing conflict. The situation remains volatile as Israel retaliates in southwestern Iran, and global calls for restraint, including warnings from UN officials and the US government, emphasize the potential for further escalation and regional destabilization. The Washington Post details the potential threat to America's historical and cultural landmarks amid the political upheaval. Under the Trump administration, moves are underway that threaten to dismantle symbols of civil rights and national history, notably the possible removal of the Emmett Till Memorial, a site sacred to the civil rights movement. The Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, has proposed slashing nearly $1 billion from the National Park Service, which could jeopardize this and other vital monuments. The Till Memorial, commemorating the brutal 1955 lynching of a 14-year-old black boy whose death galvanized the civil rights movement, symbolizes America's ongoing struggle with racial injustice. Critics warn that these budget cuts and policy shifts aim to erase uncomfortable parts of history, risking a cultural amputation that would deny future generations the opportunity to learn from past atrocities. The potential loss of such sites sparks urgent debate about the importance of preserving history, even when it exposes painful truths, as advocates emphasize that confronting the past is essential for national growth and reconciliation. Nikkei Asia explores China's recent export restrictions on rare earth metals, revealing a significant blow to global supply chains. In May, China's exports of rare earths to the U.S. plummeted by 80% year-over-year, with shipments to Japan decreasing by 54%, as Beijing enforces export controls in retaliation against U.S. tariffs. These metals, vital for manufacturing electric vehicles, electronics, and military equipment, are predominantly produced in China, which accounts for about 70% of the world's supply. The sharp decline follows a temporary easing of tariffs agreed upon during ministerial talks in Switzerland, yet delays in export permits have created uncertainty and hardship for industries dependent on these materials. Japanese automakers like Suzuki have already faced production halts due to shortages, illustrating the far-reaching economic impact. While some countries act as transit hubs for rare earths, the restrictions threaten to destabilize global markets and accelerate technological competition, with both the US and China poised to relax controls once negotiations advance, underscoring the fragile balance of international trade and resource security. Nikkei Asia reports that the recent staff cuts at the National Security Council, NSC, which aim to remove advisors with differing viewpoints, could jeopardize President Trump's upcoming trip to Beijing, potentially leading to diplomatic missteps. As preparations for the visit intensify, including detailed negotiations on protocol and personal engagement, experts warn that the reduced NSC staff may impair crucial communication and coordination, especially when every word and gesture during such high-stakes meetings is meticulously planned. This concern is underscored by past instances where limited communication, such as the absence of an official White House statement following a phone call between Trump and Xi in June, created perceptions that China was steering the narrative, an issue that could escalate in a crisis. The article recalls Trump's 2017 China visit, which fostered significant trade deals and personal diplomacy, but also highlights the challenges in achieving structural economic changes, given China's entrenched system supporting state-owned enterprises. William Zaret, a former American Chamber of Commerce leader, notes that while Trump might aim for substantial commitments like increased Chinese purchases of American goods or inviting Chinese investments, meaningful systemic reforms seem unlikely, emphasizing the complex, often asymmetrical nature of U.S.-China relations. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
News breaks, buzz the ground, stories spin, walls come down, voices merge in the sound, faces mix in the crowd, broadcasters paint the scene, world events on our screen, every link a different theme, words collide in the stream, 6 degrees connect the dots, background stories more than us. Hear the voices rise aloud, truth unveils in every spot, cultures clash across the globe, spin the threads in a strobe, every story wears a robe, truth and lies in their code, journalists dig real deep, secrets out, they don't sleep, every angle they will keep. In the news we take a leap, new perspectives day by day, hidden truths come to play, in the background shades of